Okay, at 6 o'clock on September 6th, 2023, we're going to call the public hearing concerning the issuance of not to exceed 21 million working cash fund bonds to order. Roll call, please, Luana.
Danny Eagleheart.
Here.
Mary Jo. Here. Shawnee Hamilton.
Here.
Whit Harman.
Here.
Cindy Klein. Here. Steve Rogers. Ken Miller.
Here. Stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Board of Education approved a resolution declaring the intention to issue not to exceed $21 million in working cash fund bonds on Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023. A legal notice was published in the Coal City Courant newspaper on Wednesday, August 9th, 2023, regarding such intent. A legal notice was published in the Coal City Courant newspaper on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023, regarding the public hearing for the bonds. The purpose of this hearing would be to conduct a public hearing concerning the intent of the board to sell bonds in an amount not to exceed 21 million for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund of the district. If any guests or board members wish to make a comment on the proposed issuance of bonds, this would be the appropriate time to do so. And I would say, if any of you want to make a comment, state your name, your address, and you will have 5 minutes to make your comments. And please remember, this is not a question and answer. So if everyone would like to comment. Christina, I think you said you would.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't get the newspaper, so which I should have, just found out about the potential for a turf field. So I have questions mostly around obviously what the rest of the working funds are going to be for. So I'm sure that those are appropriate, necessary to some degree. I do not feel that a turf field is appropriate for the school district. I don't know why we would need something like that. I twisted my ankle quite a few times marching on a turf field. There's a cancer rate still that's not fully recognized, that female soccer players were getting cancer from playing soccer on turf fields. That's still an issue. It's a health issue. I just want to express my great desire for the board to research how many injuries kids are still getting. The NFL is not even loving it. Why we even need it, how much it's going to cost parents for all the injuries, those other health risks. And again, if there's something better, we don't even have a full-time nurse at most of the schools. The food is horrible. I'm sorry. It is absolutely horrible at all of the schools. My kid she has to have peanut butter and jelly as a high schooler because it's crap. So I just want to express that I do not want to pay any tax dollars for a turf field that only benefits potentially the football team, especially when we're not even that great of a football team. Who cares if we host sectionals and all of that? Who cares? It doesn't, we are needing to educate our kids. We need to spend money on teachers, give them more pay, whatever they need, make sure they can teach, make sure we get new materials, new uniforms for kids, band uniforms, whatever they need. The kids need it. That turf field is only for a specific amount of kids, and it really doesn't benefit the rest of the community at all, whatsoever, as I see it, and except for in the terms of, I've heard people talk about school pride or Coal City pride. That doesn't make me proud. Football is nothing to me. I don't care. And there's a lot of people that probably don't care and would like to spend $100 to $200 a year on taxes on something else that would be more meaningful. So that is all I want to say about that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. Are there any other comments?
Hello, my name is Neil Nelson. I live at 603 Hunters Run in Coal City, Illinois. I've come to the board tonight as a concerned taxpayer. Over the past week or so, I've tried to obtain some answers to some questions. I'm not sure the process that is supposed to go through as far as a taxpayer to obtain questions to answers. I started with the superintendent and thought that would get me the answers. You seem to want to hold a personal meeting. I just wanted some figures. They weren't too ridiculous to ask for. We passed a $46 million referendum back in 2006. I was wanting to know where that was at today. How much money is owed on that referendum? We're not addressing that, or maybe the board is, I'm just not getting the feedback that we're going for $21 million more. What's the status of the referendum? Okay, how is the board looking at lowering taxes, being that the referendum has been passed and the buildings are paid for, I would think, after 20 years. Now we're talking about $21 million working cash bond. So my understanding of working cash bond is money that is raised by the taxing body to set aside in case of a bad year, something to pay off normally occurring debts. It's not for capital projects, in my understanding. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm saying there is, let's say our biggest taxpayer went bankrupt. We're not going to get $16 million from them. That working cash bond would be then used to pay off bills so that we don't get clobbered and be bankrupt ourselves. But I'm hearing working cash bonds, and I'm hearing turf fields and concession stands and different things like that. And I think we have an outstanding school district. I think this board has done an outstanding job. They put together, so many improvements here. I'm not sure about the education. I'd like to know a little bit more how they're grading out on that. But I know, as being an elected person myself, sometimes the daily activities can get kind of boring. And we want to do things to improve. And so we kind of get hooked on seeing new things, I want to build this, I want to have this. But people are sacrificing to get those things. Everybody is sacrificing in this district to pay these taxes. And this is a really tough time right now. People are hurting, inflation, taxes are going up, fuel cost. And so where is the board at with $21 million more in bond? What's the money going to be used for? How do I go through the process of getting answers to my questions? Do I need to file a Freedom of Information Act? What do I need to do to get these questions answered that I presented to the superintendent probably 10 days ago? So that's what I have to say tonight. What's the $21 million bond for? Where are we at with the referendum? When are we going to see a reduction in taxes for the Coal City School District?
Okay, thank you, Neil. Anybody else have any comments you want to make? Any board members? Okay, then hearing none, I'm going to consider the public hearing adjourned. Roll call, please, Luana.
Danny Eagleheart,
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Brett Harmon.
Yes.
Cindy Klein. Yes. Tim Miller.
Yes. And again, thank you all for your participation and your comments. Okay, then at 6:08, I'm going to call the 2023-2024 public budget hearing to order. Roll call, please, Luana.
Danny Eagleheart.
Here.
Mary Gill. Here. Sean Hamilton.
Here.
Brett Harmon.
Here.
Cindy Klein. Here. Tim Miller.
Yes. Board of Education approved tentative budget on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. A legal notice was published in the Coal City Courant newspaper on Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Tentative budget has been on display for public inspection, and as of this writing, no one is requested to review or to copy the proposed budget documents. If any guests wish to make a comment about the tentative 23-24 budget, this would be the appropriate time. Are there any other further comments?
Would be looking to the public for comment.
Mhm.
In the budget, how much money is being used to pay off the referendum?
Well, I think this would be not a time probably to sit down and discuss that, Neil. I think that would be something that I'm sure Mr. Spencer would talk to you later. Well, he would be more than happy.
This is the problem I'm having. Why can't things be discussed in public? They ask me questions and everybody's telling me, go see the superintendent. I'm asking in public because these people want to know too. How much money is set aside in the budget to pay off the referendum?
Okay,
Where are
again,
we at?
this is not a time when we do a question.
When is the time?
Mr. Spencer would be
In a public
glad,
forum.
Mr. Spencer would be glad to speak with you at any time.
I want to put this in a public forum. How do I do that?
I'm not sure it's gonna happen right now.
So you're telling me that you represent the taxpayers, and I can come in here and ask questions, and you're not gonna answer those questions in public? Is that what you want, board? Is that what we elected?
One
you
second,
for?
Jason?
Yeah.
What documents financially are available on our website that have been for years?
So,
Specifically, does the budget have the payment schedule? Does the audit that is going to be presented later have the bond payment schedule that have been uploaded for years and years and years? In fact, so much that this district right over there has been recognized for our complete transparency from outside organizations. Jason?
yes, it's on the website, and the tentative budget presentation has been on the website as well.
So if it's still available, and you guys should really just know it by heart, and when I ask a question, you should be able to present it to me. I shouldn't have to buy a computer and look on a website. If I'm at this meeting and care enough to come out, I can't ask a question of a board member, and you can say, Neil, $3 million is gonna go pay for the referendum this year, and that'll be paid off or whatever. Is that so hard to do just to interact with the public? Is this all just technology today? I'm just asking a question I just wanted to answer, and you guys stonewall me and talk to the superintendent. This is a public meeting. We're supposed to, and the public's here. Why can't we just get information in public? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? If not, then I'm going to consider the public hearing of the 2023-2024 budget fund adjourned. At 6:11, I'm going to call the September 2nd or September 6th, rather, Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please. One.
Danny Lehart.
Here.
Mary Gill. Here. Sean Hamilton.
Here.
Mike Harmon.
Here.
Cindy Klein. Here. Kim Miller.
Here. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you here. And Mr. Spencer, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so one of our more exciting nights is that we have our new teachers joining us. They all decided to sit in the back row. Talk about being forced to sit in the front row from here on out, but no, we appreciate them coming. We have the principals here as well. They're going to introduce them. But we've been off to a great start. I think hopefully they feel the same way. You know, there's always bumps in the road, but here we are almost 3 weeks in, and very excited to have them here. Appreciate you guys coming. I know you're busy with your lives as a whole, but we do appreciate that. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and have the principals start. And the ECC, Mrs. Davidson did not have any new people, so she didn't have it. I told her to stay home.
Have to be here.
Yeah. We're going to jump to the ES and Mrs. Trotter.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all? I am Taryn Crowder. I'm the principal of the Coal City Elementary School. This year we have one new teacher to our school and to our district that really new. She was at the ECC last year doing student teaching, but new to our district, Nicole Wiltz. She is a third grade teacher. She is our co-taught special ed teacher with Mackenzie Smolik. So Nicole, floor is yours.
Hi.
She's very excited.
So I student taught at the ECC preschool, so it's a big difference for me going to third grade. I started in the district as a recess aide and a lunch aide, and then I went back to school where I graduated from Lewis with my special ed endorsement as well as my English language learners. And I have two daughters, 13 and 16. That's pretty much it.
Perfect example of somebody that started out in the district has worked their way up and kind of almost a girl own thing. So happy to have Nicole. I know I worked with her at the ECC before, so welcome, Nicole. All right, next we'll have Mrs. Carlson, who's able to make it in. How do we do?
Yes, so I'm very happy to announce the first post-season Kohler event was a win. The girls' 8th grade team will advance to the next round of regionals. They won 11-1 in the 5th inning. So we will play at Troy Sherwood on Saturday at 10 o'clock. So it was a win and it was windy. So what happened? But more importantly, I'm very happy to announce 3 new staff members at the intermediate school. I'll announce them one at a time. I'll first start with Taylor Speed. We get to share her. I don't like sharing her. She's amazing. But she works also at the middle school and high school as our new speech pathologist. And I'll let her talk about herself. So Taylor, you're first.
Hi, I'm Taylor Speed, and as Tracy said, I am a traveler this year for speech language pathology. I'm servicing the intermediate, middle, and high schools. I'm from the neighboring town of Gardner, and I obtained both my bachelor's and my master's from Illinois State University. I've met a lot of fellow Redbirds in the CC school district, which has been great. During my time at ISU, I actually completed my graduate student internship here at the Cole City Schools under the supervision of Kara Claypool. And I loved it here so much that when the opportunity arose for this position, I eagerly pursued it. And luckily I was hired here as an employee. I previously worked in the Manteno School District servicing elementary and middle school age students. And prior to that, I also worked at a private practice in Kankakee servicing early intervention through high school age students. And although my time here has been short, it has been absolutely fantastic. The staff, Tracy, Rook, and everyone wonderful supporting me and being very helpful, getting to know people, getting to know the new processes here. The students have been absolutely wonderful to work with, such a joy, very sweet, very kind, as well as their parents, the ones that I've got lucky enough to meet that either work in the district or were at back to school night have been really wonderful as well. I've made a few phone calls home and they've been very excited to hear about their student progress, and I've kind of introduced myself to them. I'm very excited for what else this school year has to bring. Thank you.
Al Taylor has been an outstanding addition, so professional, very outgoing, quick to communicate. And I'm just thrilled to have her at the intermediate school. So thank you. Next up, we have Grace Thelo, who is our new social worker at the intermediate school.
My name is Grace Bueller. Like Tracy said, I am a social worker at the IS. So this is my first job, so I haven't had any social work things until now. But I did do my internship at Plainfield, the Plainfield School District there. I got my undergrad from Trinity Christian College, and then I also got my master's from Aurora University. And these past 2 weeks have been great. Like Taylor said, lots going on, just kind of overwhelmed, getting used to the district and the students and things, but they've gone great so far.
Grace has been very busy, like she said, getting to know our new friends. Another one that is so quick to communicate, able to help wherever she's needed, and on already several committees for us. Of course, she's on our special education team, and actually so is all three. So is Savannah and Taylor. But Grace and Savannah, who you'll meet next, are also on our PBS committee. And I think all three of you are probably on our CPI committee and our special ed committee. So yeah, another great addition. So thank you, Grace. And my last new staff member is Savannah Jacobs, who's a 4th grade co-teacher with Jennifer Ness.
Hi, I'm Savannah Jacobs. Like Casey said, I'm a 4th grade co-teacher. I student taught at the elementary school underneath Taryn, actually with Connie Terrell. And it was such a great experience getting to see how the community has changed and the school districts have changed, because I went through all of the Cole City schools. Like 90% of my family is from Cole City. So it's just great to see how the community has grown for the better and how the schools have improved to make sure we're meeting all of the students' needs. Like Taylor and Grace said, we've been off to a certainly busy school year already, but it's exciting and it's great to greet the students every morning. I have hallway supervision in the morning, so I'm one of the first teachers that the students see when they come in, and it is the best feeling in the entire world, getting to be the first person they see and start their day off. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here and be back.
Thank you. And all three ladies, I can't say enough about their work ethic and professionalism, and I am overjoyed with the strong start that they have put forth so far. So I can imagine even better things are yet to come, and I appreciate all three of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. I don't know if you caught it, but Taylor did her internship here and Savannah did her student teaching here. So another great opportunity. We're taking those students and then, you know, it's paying off and we're able to hire them, and we get to kind of see how they do. So welcome, ladies. Even you too, Grace. All right, Mr. Johnson, middle school.
Well, good evening, everybody. So it is my honor to introduce two young ladies tonight to you, both in the special ed field, both great additions to the staff to start the school year. I think they're learning a lot quickly, so I'm gonna let them tell a little bit about themselves. And we're gonna start with Michaela Lang, who is our cross cat sixth grade special ed teacher.
So I'm Michaela. I'm the cross cat teacher here at the middle school. I have sixth to eighth graders in my class, so I teach ELA and math, and I'm co-teaching science and social studies. A little bit my background. I went to Eastern Illinois where I got my bachelor's in special ed. And then I student taught also down in Charleston at the 3rd through 5th grade building. And then I student taught in high school as well, where I had freshmen through seniors teaching math. I grew up in Elwood, so not too far from here. I went to Joliet Central.
She's a kind. Happy to be here.
Really?
I also have Willow DeCroft, who is ironically one of our hard of hearing teachers, which is actually the first hard of hearing teacher we've had in the district. So we have some students that have that special need, so we're able to bring her on board, and she gets to work with some pretty unique, both these guys get to work with some pretty unique individuals and are helping them kind of move forward and navigating middle school and all those fun things that happen in middle school as well. So I like to introduce Willow.
Hi, just like Travis just introduced me, I'm Willow DeCry. I am in another cross cat category class. I co-teach with Angela Rudis, if you know who she is. And I also do 6th grade through 8th grade, and my specialty is deaf and hard of hearing. So I treat more towards the kids who either have sign language they need it, or kids who have hard of hearing as well. Little background about me. I went to Illinois State University with my bachelor's, and I specialized in deaf and hard of hearing. I did my student teaching at Oswego High School and Middle School. I was an itinerant teacher at both schools, and then I also did my student teaching. I did 8 weeks there, and then I traveled to Knoxville, Tennessee to do half of it down at Knoxville, Tennessee School for the Deaf. So I kind of have like a perspective of different states. So it's nice to then have to bring stuff here as well. I'm excited to be here, first ever deaf and hard of hearing teacher. So it's nerve-wracking, but it's also kind of like I get to build a new program for here. So I'm excited to start a new program here.
So we're certainly very pleased with these two getting started. Just a reminder for you guys, you actually met Andrew Grimm last month. And we actually have one more teacher that just wasn't able to be here tonight, and that's Griffin Gleddy. He'll be at the October meeting, and he will introduce himself then. But thank you guys very much. Turn it over to Mr. Spencer.
Thank you. No, you're right. Yes, and one of our new principals, Mr. Stafford, who's visited a couple times before me. So welcome, and I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, good evening. Like Mr. Spencer said, I'm Mark Stafford. I'm the new high school principal. Happy to introduce last two of our new staff in the district. Mr. Todd Hancock. Mr. Hancock is our new Spanish teacher. I know at this point his unique background, which I'm sure he will tell you all about here in a second, has resonated with our kids. So we are happy to have him.
Todd Hancock. I'm not from Coal City, but I got a little bit of jealousy, wishing I were. I just really appreciated the welcome, this community and the students and everyone. It's just made me feel like a rock star. So I went to Lincoln Christian University, graduated from there a long time ago. So I'm kind of making a second career or third career. So my first year teaching, I lived 19 and a half years in Mexico City, in Guadalajara, and Puebla, Mexico. And because of COVID, came back to the US, live in Morris with my wife, who's from Morris, and she has kept alive the Morris Coal City rivalry. But I'm teaching Spanish in high school. I have Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 right now, freshman, sophomores primarily. But really enjoying it, getting used to the block schedule. And, you know, at my age, change is different, but very welcome. glad to be here.
Our second new teacher at the high school is Mr. Tommy Purcell. He is our Kohler Academy teacher, which again, Kohler Academy is, a hybrid of students who are transitioning into, a unique opportunity to catch kids up that might need some extra assistance or need some credits. So, Mr. Purcell.
Yeah, so Tommy Purcell, like Art said, I'm the Kohler Academy teacher. Also have my co-teacher Sam, who's been phenomenal. Luke, thank you for hiring her because she helped me out so much. Art's been very helpful to me. I know Corey's not here, but he's also been very helpful because first few weeks have definitely been interesting, but it's been awesome getting to know the kids. We're finally getting in the groove of things, but kind of gave the whole spiel about I do love it. Kids are awesome. I leave every day laughing because you can't imagine the stuff they say. It's crazy stuff. But a little about me. Did my undergrad at North Central College, and then got my master's in school counseling at Lewis University, and then spent last year kind of subbing for different counselors. And I finished last year off at Joliet West High School being a detention supervisor. And I'm here at Coal City, and I also will be in the spring coaching freshman and sophomore baseball.
Thank you.
For probably the third time, teachers, I'm going to welcome you all. And because it's twice before, but we want to welcome you here. We are certainly glad to have you. And we're looking forward to real good things for you. And I know you're going to be fine. So again, thank you for deciding to come to Coal City. And we're very, very fortunate to have you.
Again, thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it. Thanks for introducing yourself. I really know too. This is not the easiest thing. So you did a great job, Will. Pat yourself on the back. You do not have to stick around. So go home.
Good thing is you can leave. You don't have to stay.
Good luck. Thank you for everybody.
Thanks, guys. Sorry.
How you doing? Good.
So we want to. Any communications from the floor in regard to agenda items or anything, John? Hearing none, then, are there any items the board would like to remove from the consent agenda? I'll entertain the first and second motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes and closed session minutes from the regular meeting of August 2nd, special board meeting of August 11th, board study session of the whole of August 30th, July activities fund reports, July treasurer's report, August individual checks report, August payroll, September accounts payable, personnel items including approval of resignations, employments, leave requests, extracurricular assignments, extracurricular volunteers, and job descriptions. Sean so moves and Dan seconds. Roll call, please, Alana.
Sean Anderson.
Yes.
Jenny Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Mike Harmon.
Yes.
Cindy Klein. Yes. And Miller.
Yes. Are there any questions about the administrative reports? Anybody have anything they want to talk about that? Okay, Luke, anything you want to add to what you've got?
Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions of Luke? Okay. Yeah,
Anything additional again? If there's questions.
anybody have any questions of her? All right, that's good. That's good. All right, Mr. Spencer.
All right, just a couple things for the superintendent's report. As everyone knows, the June board meeting, the board authorized me to be able to employ personnel as needed. That sunset August 31st, but you have the people that were hired between that time before August 31st. So glad to answer any questions about any of those hires that have happened. You have anything with that too, or any other question on that? I do have one thing about dates I just want to share with you. The only date is the homecoming parade is coming up October 6th. I know it's right around our next meeting. It is at 2:30 on Friday at 2:30. If you're able to attend, if you would please let Luana know, that way she can make sure she's getting a spot for you. Dan will not be there.
It's not
but yeah, go ahead and let her know though if you would, so she has that information. Make sure we got a spot for you in the parade if you like to go to that parade. That's all I have for the superintendent report.
Great. Anything from the Grundy vocational, Dan, anything about it?
The only thing is the house that the students build, like they do it every, I don't know, it's every 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
They actually put it out for bid and they accepted a non-contingent bid, and this is like one of the first times they've done it in a lot of years. Like, I think Director Coach said it was a second time since they've been doing it, that they didn't have to go out.
Exactly, yeah, so they must have done a good job, or at least
Yeah.
we're pleased with it. Yeah, because usually it takes a while.
Yes, yeah, and I did, I was able to take a tour of it before it was done. We had one of our meetings there in the summer. And it was very nice. The kids did a great job. Say kids, the young men and women, I should say, that put it together. And it was, I think it's house number 26.
Yep.
They're on right now. But yeah, so we started in 27 here. They may have already started. Yeah.
Okay, any questions about the athletic director's report?
I do have one comment on
Go
that.
ahead.
Just to point out, all athletes, we always have a lot of students that are participating. We have almost 250 students out of high school right now that are participating in a fall sport. Out of 643 kids. So just think of the number. That's a great number. 1/3 of our kids are participating. So very happy about that. And the fall programs are off to a great start. As well as our middle school, and it's great. Our middle school softball team started so in the regionals. Just wanted to point that out. 'Cause I think it's something good, noteworthy, and appreciate everybody that helps out this fall and that, and as well as our athletic directors.
That's the largest football numbers we've had for a while. I don't remember, there were a lot of years when we were below 103, those are big numbers. Okay, again, any communications to the floor in regard to agenda items or anything in general? Okay, Mr. Spencer.
Yeah, so we have Kate, and I'll have Kate introduce herself here in just a moment, but from Match Associates to go over our audit this from them and when you turn over to you.
Put you on quick, Kate, so you don't have to stay.
Hi, I'm Kate Moulton, I'm with Mac Associates, and I'm here to present the June 30th, 2023 audit report. There's just a couple of key items that I wanted to go over with you tonight. First up, on pages 1 through 3, we have our independent auditor's report, which is our opinion on the audit. It was a clean opinion on the modified cash basis of the county. Just means that we didn't have anything that we saw we would need to make material. So this is basically the highest level of opinion on the financial statements that we can issue. On the financial statements, starting on page 4, we have the balance sheet. The total assets as of June 30th, 2023 are $81,038,304, and this consists of cash, investments, and capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation. The total liabilities as of June 30th are $23,320,642, and this includes some payroll withholdings and some taxes that we paid in July and or were paid in July, and then the long-term debt of the district. The net position of the district at June 30th is $57,717,662, which is an increase of $4.2 million from the previous year. Total revenues for the year, and this will be on page 7 and 8. The total revenues are $41.3 million, which is up from $40.5 million in 2022. A large portion of this increase is due to changes in grants that were received in the current year, and the replacement taxes have been up, so we've seen an increase in the revenues. Expenditures, the total expenditures dispersed were $38.1 million, which is up a little bit from the prior year, which means 35.9. During the year, there was an increase in the instructional and support expenditures. And we have a breakdown on page 7 by the different categories. But overall, the net fund balance increased by $3.2 million, which brings the ending fund balance as of June 30th, 2023, up to from $23.1 million to $26.4 million. So overall, the district has a very strong financial position, the healthy cash and investment balances. One of the other major areas are the capital assets. During the year, the capital assets increased by $1,248,794 due to improvements made to facilities and building and equipment purchases. The accumulated depreciation, which was the normal depreciation expense for the year, increased $2.5 million. So the net change in the capital assets from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23 was a net decrease of $1.3 million, which is due to the fact that we had more depreciation than capital asset purchases. But we have further details and breakdowns of this in note 4 if you're interested. And then during the fiscal year ended June 30th, 23, the debt increased because there was a new capital lease that was issued during the year. And then the debt decreased by $2.4 million due to the normally scheduled debt payments. As of June 30th, 2023, total debt was $22,232,808. And there is a breakdown of the debt payments that were made during the year. There's a breakdown of the future maturity of the debt in note 5 of the appendix.
Is that page? I want to make sure I'm looking. Is that the debt thing? Is that page 51 or?
That is.
Sorry, I'm not quizzing on the number. I'm trying to see what the note is. I see that I went to the table of contents.
Got it. Yep. The note 5 begins on page 20. So we have all of the breakdown of all of the issuances and all of the repayment schedule and of that.
So just to make sure everybody's clear, every audit that's on our website, there's all the payment schedules out there every year for decades. They're all right there.
I'm not trying to hide it.
We are not, and that's sorry, interrupting, but again, it's no one's going to claim we're not transparent. They're all right there and they're on the website. Sorry, Kate, please continue.
Not a problem. It's the irony of answering that question is not lost.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks.
But yeah, there's a ton of detail in the audit reports if you're interested in looking at that further.
Right, including when you're looking, everybody looks, if you're looking at page 20, when they were issued, what the amounts were, what the rates were, what the payment schedules are. It's all there. Thank you.
Yep. So during the course of the audit, we also did a single audit because we had federal expenditures over $750,000. This year we were looking at the IDEA program because we rotate which programs that we need to look at based on what the expenditures are. We did not have any findings on the single audit, and we did not have any financial statement findings that we wanted to bring to you. We did have a couple of comments, things that we wanted to bring to the board and address that we noted during the course of the audit. None of these rose to the level of a material weakness or significant deficiency, but just another comment of note just to kind of make you aware of what we're seeing when we're looking at the audit. One of the items, the first item is that the inadequate segregation of duties because the business manager signed all of the checks, reviews ledger report, prepares bank reconciliations from the district. We have one person with a lot of different controls. Now, the district has mitigating controls over this process because bank reconciliations and bank statements are made available to the board to review those to help mitigate the risk. And also the district began participating in positive pay, which is basically you're telling the bank that these are the checks we're going to be writing, this is the amount, this is the vendor, and then the bank doesn't cash them unless everything matches up. So while we did want to point this out, that we do have a situation where there is one person who is doing a lot of different accounting functions,
by having oversight and review from the board, that provides level of controls that can kind of mitigate that. So we just kind of wanted to bring this up so that you realize why that's important, that you guys are fulfilling that role and looking at all of those things. And just to kind of encourage you to continue to review those things on an ongoing basis.
Kate, if I could just interrupt.
Yes.
Just to remind the board that the hire that you made earlier tonight was to add another belly button for our control system. Although we have controls that are in place that are mitigating this finding, it has shown up on the last several audits, and we felt that now is the time to maybe take a different action, maybe to help satisfy that as well. So
Sure.
just to remind the board of that.
And it's always something that happens in smaller entities. You know, you have a limited number of staff, so it's hard to have situations where you can segregate the duties, but if you're able to implement additional controls, that's fantastic. The next point was that in the debt service fund, there were expenditures that exceeded appropriations by $475. We just kind of wanted to bring it to your attention, let you know, just to continue monitoring the expenditures that are ongoing portion. When you look at the total expenditures of the district, it's practically minuscule, and you know, it's nothing to be alarmed about, but we just kind of wanted to bring it to your attention and suggest that in the going forward, just to continue to monitor that, because you know, we have to report it in the notes to the financial statements if there is excess. And then our last comment is the student activity fund reporting. There were some of the student activity funds where the monthly reports and or reconciliations were incomplete or incorrect. It's only been a couple of years that these student activity funds have been required to be reported in the financials of the district. And it's been kind of an ongoing process to kind of bring these under the education fund as opposed to how they've been treated previously as a custodial fund. So we just recommend that the district look at how those activity funds are handled to make sure that the monthly reporting is correct. And just because now it is included in the educational fund as opposed to the donors custodial fund. But other than that, we had no other issues with the audit or any of the other issues. So all in all, it was a very clean audit. And if there are any questions or anything you'd like to go over further, please let me know.
Anybody have any questions? Jay?
Any comment on the activity? We've talked about activity funds for a couple of years and people not wanting to conform to the policies and all that kind of, just curious, any commentary there that we have to.
So the activity funds are a strange beast in how they operate. They're at a building level, they're not centralized. And we think we've got some ideas to maybe help the building secretaries who are managing those funds that we think we're gonna be able to implement. We think that we may be able to assign some other staff from our buildings to go and assist them with some of those duties as well. And so, but again, it continues to be something that we're trying to refine to make the process, you know, as clear as possible for everybody.
And from being,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
being in and out of a number of different school districts at this time of year, this is something that we're seeing kind of across the board. These have always been handled by the non-financial personnel of the school district. And sometimes getting the people who have been working with them, one, to change the way that they've been operating for years is difficult. And two, you're not necessarily dealing with people that understand how these activity funds get pulled into the audit and into the financials. And so there's kind of, we've been seeing across the board that this has been kind of a learning process, and you know, everyone has a really good idea. Oh, great, take these activity fund, the education fund. The implementation of that is a little bit more difficult.
And again, just to be clear, these aren't findings. These are comments from the auditors. All of these audit comments help us to get better at our process and our control. And so we certainly appreciate the feedback and we work to try to make the process better.
I report exactly.
Absolutely. You know, those activity funds have been, I can remember way back when.
Well, yeah, and I remember 2 years ago when they had to go in, we had a discussion because there were
remember who, let's not even name them, some groups that didn't want to conform to our policies and procedures, and we sent them on their way, for lack of a better word. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, it's good stuff.
I
Okay.
can remember Joe DeGooley sitting there with his pencil figuring it out. Hitting himself in the forehead, thinking, why doesn't this work better? Okay, Mr. Spencer, go ahead.
I just think it's worth pointing out, talk about clean audit. Thank you, Kate, and your team. Please let them know we appreciate the work that they did. But also with Jason and Kristen and Leah, the job that they do to help make it a clean audit. I've been told by employees that we are the standard for this. When some people have questions, they get over to Jason. So appreciate the work that he does and his team does for us, because it makes me feel a lot better. He's taking care of that. I can tell you that.
We work with a number of school districts, and having a good finance team and having staff that is prepared and gets everything we need makes all the difference in the world. So we really appreciate the effort that they put in and all the help that they give us with the audit. So
Thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, I know you said it, that just because we did it under consent, and I know what you'll have in the budget, but it's worth noting. Again, in response to the note about financial controls, whatever, we added additional support to mitigate that control factor.
Exactly.
So again, it's, just add people to add people. It's been notated, presented to us at the study session, makes total sense. Added the person, start September 11th, if I read my packet right. So there you go.
Not ignoring the situation.
Not at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
well,
you.
thank you so much, and hope to see you next year.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Spencer, back to the budget.
Absolutely. I think you're good. Awesome. Appreciate it.
You got any motion?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't know if you wanted to say that. Okay, so I'll need a first and second motion to approve the following resolution to adopt the 2023-2024 operating budget. Whereas the Board of Education of Coal City Community School District Number 1, County of Grundy, will, State of Illinois, cause to be prepared in tentative form of budget. Secretary of this board has made the same conveniently available to public 30 days prior to the final action thereon. And whereas a public hearing was held as to say such budget on the 6th day of September 2023. Notice of said hearing was given at least 30 days prior to, as required by law, and all other legal requirements have been complied with. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of said district as follows. Section 1, that the fiscal year of this school district be, and the same hereby is fixed and declared to begin July 1st, 2023 and end June 30th, 2024. Section 2, that the following budget contain an estimate of amounts available in each fund separately and of expenditures from each be, and the same is hereby adopted as the budget of this school district for said fiscal year. And I'm tired of reading. So, Dan, second, please.
All right, thank you. I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Smith. He has a little presentation for you to check things out. Thank you, Jason.
So this is the final budget. Obviously, you've seen a tentative budget presentation that's been on the website for a while. I want to just again take the opportunity, and we've reminded the board several times with this notion that, right, we have certain factors and agreements in place in this district that make us very unique. Our current agreement with Constellation, which is for the Dresden Nuclear Station, ends in 2026. That will be the last levy that the agreement covers, which will fund fiscal 28. The carbon credit legislation also sunsets at June 30 of 2027, so in the same time frame. Constellation has disclosed that they're going to pursue a license renewal. We know that's up to a 5-year process, but we know that they've moved forward with that step. That is, however, no guarantee that the station will remain open if the carbon credit legislation isn't reauthorized, or if their license is not extended, or at all, quite honestly. And that is why I think the board has positioned themselves in a more aggressive stance for capital improvements because of that that large taxpayer. I will remind the board only for the fact that our tax rate is one of the lowest in the area, certainly, if not the state. Back in 2007, when the general obligation bond resolution was passed, our tax rate was at $4.44. As of the last levy, it posted at $3.39, where Dresden now has an EAV of $520 million.
Go back there for just a second, Jason, just.
Sure.
So, again, in regards to maybe things that were mentioned earlier, but in regards to rate. Back when the first bond issuance happened, our rate is still whatever then, Quint, you're the banker, 30-some%, still right now below. Where we were at the high of 444 back in 2007. This board and boards before us have nothing, there's nothing to hang our heads about where the tax rate has been for the past 17 years. Still, you know, you could do the math, the realtors in the room could do the math and say, an average tax break on an average home over $1,000 a year times 17 years. We have nothing, with those are married realtors or whatever, so nothing to hang our head on,
So as a result of that plant, that drives a lot of our revenue assumptions. And so just to go through those, the revenue from Constellation is set by the agreement at $17.3 million a year. CPV, which is also a generating facility that's just come online. It came online in June this summer. It will be coming into the assessment cycle for levy 23. It doesn't contribute EAV. Instead, we receive in the agreement that we have with CPV, we will receive a pilot payment, a payment in lieu of taxes of about $1.2 million. That escalates at 3% for 20 years. So that will not be part of the fiscal 24 revenues. We thought, because it came online in June, we thought that maybe we would see a partial payment in what's left of this fiscal year. However, that is not going to be the case. As the audit identified, corporate personal property replacement tax has been much higher than expected. And I'll talk more of that in a few minutes when we get to a slide designated for that. But we have heard from Department of Revenue that for this budget year, that will decrease by about 30%. And so we're anticipating that as a revenue change. We also anticipate that the state revenues will remain fairly consistent, as will our federal revenues. Remember, just in perspective, those are only small fractions of our total income. And then we expect, though, finally, that interest earnings will continue to be higher than in the previous 5 fiscal years because of where rates are. So that said, we're anticipating our revenue profile to look like this. The majority of it comes from the 10 fund. Excuse me. And included in this is an assumption that we will receive approximately $15 million in bonds. And I'll speak more to the bond issuance here in a few minutes. But if you compare what final budget was to tentative budget, that's a difference of about $15.6 million. And that has to do with, largely that has to do with the possible bond issuance that the board is considering. As I said, CPPRT, to just give you a history, in fiscal 21, the budget was $1.6 million, which had been the budget for 10 years prior. We always kind of floated right around that number. But then in fiscal 22, we received $4.2 million from CPPRT. So I increased the budget for fiscal 23. We received $4.7 million. So to that end, we have a running surplus of about $4.4 million over the last 3 fiscal years. And as a result of that, we can make certain assumptions to like our revenue position or our fund balance position as a result of that. So let me move on to the expenditure assumptions. Obviously, salaries and benefits comprise a majority of what our budget looks like. As the board knows, we've reached agreement with the teachers here recently. We had a custodial agreement that was in place prior to this. When you look at administrative and support contracts for this fiscal year, that obviously increases the salary and benefits profile. We also added several new people. Our cross-categorical teacher, speech path, our deaf and hard of hearing teacher, our social worker, community relations position, an assistant secretary, and we added an additional permanent sub. that increase of FTE obviously goes into contributing more on the expense side. Obviously, the increase in supplies and purchase services are based upon planned projects for fiscal 24. And as we spoke last week at the study session, I think due to the positive feedback we've had from the community in large about the parking structure that we built here at the middle school, we have planned in this budget for the middle school concession stand, restroom and storage facility to be accelerated from the summer of 25 into the summer of 24. And the board recommended using part of the CPPRT surplus to do that. So the transfer of $2 million is part of that CPPRT surplus. And so when you look at the expenditure profile, these are what the graphs look like. Looking at about a $49 million budget, the $7.5 million, I'm planning for projects that may or may not happen in the fiscal year. And so I don't anticipate that to be the actual expense at the end of the day. But because it's an estimated budget, so that the board doesn't have to get in a spot where they need to amend a budget, we're going to go ahead and plan for those projects. And if the board chooses not to move forward with them, they don't happen. The same with the bonding issue. But I'll get to that in just a moment. The final budget, this table is just all full of numbers, but it's broken down by fund for both the revenue and the expense side. And you can certainly see we're again looking at posting a surplus budget, but that's because we're not certain as to which projects are actually going to go. So that's a little bit artificial. Now, with respect to the bonds, the authority that the board sought in August was for $21 million. As we get closer in this process, we refine calculations. For actual working cash bonds, that calculation limit is about $14.7 million. To get all the way to the 21, you would have to use a different type of bond, a different type of vehicle to get there. And so it is our recommendation at this time to only look at the $15 million of working cash bonds, and the board can, in the future, or a future board can decide if they wanted to pursue any more of those bonds. We are meeting with the facilities improvement planning team here shortly to help refine some of these numbers. But for this budget, it will not be pulling 21 million. It'll be pulling about 15 million. This is what the current debt service payment curve looks like for us. I can tell you that in 2006, if we want to talk round numbers, and I'll just talk principal, our debt was about $48 million. To date, we've paid about $25 million of that off, and we have a balance of about $23 million left. Doing nothing, those bonds kind of run themselves out, and the part of the rate that pays for the bonds drops significantly, and then it tapers off. What we're suggesting with this working cash bond issuance is to fold in an additional $14.7 million in debt. It would fold into the curve like this. The purple lines represent that. And it does forecast a decrease in the part of the tax rate that pays for debt service. So a future board obviously could go after that additional $5 million if they chose to do so. But right now, this is what we would project if we move forward with a $14.7 million bond piece. Okay, we'll talk a lot more about bonds because tonight's public hearing is required by law. You can't act on a bond issuance within a 7-day window of the public hearing. So it couldn't have happened tonight. It'll be, we have steps to go through here in the next month, and you'll see any action for the actual issuance resolution at the October meeting. So in general, from tentative to final, obviously we had additional retirees as well. I neglected to mention that on the front slide with our expenditure profile. These bond opportunities and financing options for our capital projects obviously impacted the budget greatly. And then the significant number of additional positions that the board has added are really what the difference is between tentative and final. So with that, I will certainly entertain any questions that the board would have.
Anybody have any questions? I think it was all pretty well explained, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, no, you go ahead, Chris.
Just again, appreciate the time you spend with us. Jason does a lot to get ready for these and goes through a lot of different drafts of it, and appreciate that he does that and he gets it ready prepared. And again, he said part of the funds. Very good. So thank you, Dave.
And by the way, it is on the website.
It is, that document too, correct?
Yeah, I posted that document
So that
middle of the
document's
day.
also on the website.
Document is on the website if anybody wants to look at it. Okay. Make sure we emphasize that enough.
Yes, we'll have to repeat it multiple times, Mr. Mullin.
All right. So, roll call please on this one, Wanda.
But Harmon.
Yes.
Danny Eagleheart.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes, you did a good job, Jay. Forgot we got a motion on it.
You're welcome, Mr. Miller.
Okay, I will entertain a first and second motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Reed County School District as presented. Mary so moves and Cindy seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Spencer.
Just, we talked about this in our couple meetings. It's the intergovernmental agreement with Reed Custer so that Matt Lehman can teach AP calculus with their students as well as ours. So we last year and was doing that again this year. It's also a good start. So appreciate the board allowing that.
Any questions about that? So it's going to be over there first semester and back here second semester.
We're doing quarters actually. So
Quarters,
yeah,
okay.
for quarters. So at least that way the kids have 9 weeks roughly that they don't have to go to one spot. And I keep figuring out, do I go to the full city Reed Custer today? So. Yeah.
Okay. Roll call please, Wanda.
Mary Gill. Yes. Cindy Klein.
Yes.
Danny Eagleheart.
Yes.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
But Harmon.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Entertain first and second motion to approve the hiring of Ann Gill as a community relations specialist. Dan so moves and Cindy seconds.
Yeah, so this is something I think that the board is, from my understanding, has kind of talked about for a while now, a PR position. And you know, we talked about this in the process of the study session last week a little bit, but a couple weeks ago we had interviews. We had almost around 18 people that applied, narrowed that down, got a final few that we interviewed. Appreciate the help of Jim Kenny, Taryn Trotter, Art Stafford, and Jason was our interview team. Sat down and interviewed and rose above everybody else in that, and everybody's agreeing with that. I believe that she's the best person for the job. She knows the district, she knows the community. I am very excited about the things that she's going to be able to do to help our district and put us out there, put our brand out there. I think it's going to be a very good hire. So appreciate it, look forward to working with you.
Okay, all right. Roll call please.
Danny Eagleheart.
Yes.
Cindy Klein. Yes. Mary Gill. Abstain. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
But Harmon.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Welcome aboard, Ann. Glad to have you. You'll be a good addition. That's for sure. Okay. Go ahead. You want to talk about facility improvement?
Yeah, just quick. I just keep this on here because we were moving things and moving along. I don't know if anybody took a chance and you drove by on Carbon Hill Road and saw our concession stand. I encourage you to do that if you haven't. We have a new emblem up there with Charlie Pollard is up there. You can see it from the yeah, you can see it from the Carbon Hill Road real easy. Along with that, there was some more branding that's gone inside the high school, the home with Pollard. As you walk into the Vincent Tree, if you look up, there's a lower part, and it's up there. It says home of the Kohlers. We had that added. We have also received some branding for all the other buildings. We just haven't got to put up yet. Just got them yesterday, so that's in process. I think I talked about rugs last time. I'm still waiting. They haven't got back to us about the color green. I don't want to order 7 or 8 rugs and maybe purple, instead of color green. So waiting on that, but very good. Our lights have been put up. I don't know if they got them on today or not. I know they're working on it. I don't know if they do.
They made a huge mess on my floor and I'm not sure if they're active yet, but we're very close.
So those are very close.
They're mop tonight.
We'll see how if they're up or not. Last thing is I misspoke last week when I talked about the speed bumps. I apologize. We are getting the ones that are more the ones that will screw into the ground and more the portable ones, not the complete asphalt ones are trying to do. So hopefully we're hoping to get those in sometime by the middle of next week. We have them. It's just a matter of getting the time to do that. We've had some little things that have come up as usual. And our maintenance guys have been busy doing that. But moving along, a lot of stuff. I'm very excited about the branding part of it. The facilities improvement plan has moved along. Today we had softball, baseball, I believe soccer. 100% sure on that. And we have, yes, soccer, good, thank you. And we have minors football, and we had spots for people to park. We do have to work on people parking along the edges. We're gonna get some signs put up, share with our teams, share with people that use our facilities that we like you to park in a spot, not on the side of the road in the grass, that type of thing. So we'll get some signs up and that's an ongoing process that we'll take care of. But very excited. It's a lot of stuff going on with that. So thank you. Glad to take any questions.
Any questions about the facilities plan? Okay, then I will give a second motion to approve the resolution directing the school treasurer to transfer money from the educational fund to the capital project fund as presented and to waive the reading of the resolution. Sean so moves and Quinn seconds.
Just to get a quick on this, just kind of back to what Jason was just talking about. This is the money from the CPPRT that will be applied towards building the possibly building the middle school concession stand, renting and storage facility. So it's just as part of the budget we have to do. It combines those and we're able to use that money.
Okay. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Whit Harman.
Yes.
Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Entertain a first and second motion to approve the 2024, 2023, 2024 budget strategic plan as presented. That's not what I'm saying. All right, Mary moves. Quinn seconds. Mr. Spencer.
Yes, just I didn't make any changes on the strategic plan. Have it there in your folders. Be glad to if you have any questions about anything. Glad to answer those. But I think we're happy with that, and we'll start visiting with people are going to start implementing those hopefully the next week or two. And we'll start with them.
It'll be good. We can keep up with that. If you like the improvement plan, we can find out what's going on. Okay. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Mary Gill. Yes. Whit Harman.
Yes.
Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Moving on to new business, I'll entertain a first and second motion to approve the equipment donation in the amount of $709.70, along with the cash donation in the amount of $2,278.93 from the athletic boosters as presented. Mary so moves and Dan seconds. Mr. Usual.
Yeah, these were specifically asked to be used in one of them for TV's training, also some palms and rangefinder, palms for our cheerleaders and rangefinders for our golf team. So we appreciate the support the athletic boosters give us. They're always stepping up and helping out our student athletes as much as possible. I can tell you today, I was in the stop by the high school, stopped in the weight room facility, and kids that are working out. It really is amazing. For somebody who taught it for years, I can tell you the difference of the kids doing things. I talked to Coach Schmidt, who was in there, and he said, Mr. Spencer, it's just unbelievable. Those kids are sitting, they're working out, and I don't know if it's the newness. We're hoping that it continues, but the kids actually use the facilities the way we asked to be used. So very happy about it.
And I think the difference in the equipment makes a huge difference in that too. So yeah, I think that's great. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Mary Gill. Yes. Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Whit Harman.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Entertain a first and second motion to approve the donation from the Grundy Supply in the amount of $400. Dan so moves and Cindy seconds. Anything you want to mention about that?
Just appreciate your supply doing that. We had a lunch for our custodian staff. Did grilled out for them, and appreciate the Green Supply donating that money for the food forecast.
Okay. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Whit Harman.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Entertain a first and second motion to accept the anonymous donation in the amount of $15,000 for the branding throughout the district. Mary so moves.
I'll second.
On seconds. Anything?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Mary Gill. Yes. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Whit Harman.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. Entertain a first and second motion to approve the resolution to accept the school site donation of $328.70 from the Grundy County and to waive the reading of the resolution. Dan so moves in 30 seconds.
As we get these weeks.
Yes. Roll call, please, Wanda.
Dan Engelhardt.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Whit Harman.
Yes.
Cindy Klein.
Yes.
And Mel.
Yes. I'll entertain a first and second motion to approve the agreement with Sunbelt Staffing LLC as presented. So moves. Mary seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Spencer.
I'm going to turn over to Mr. Cripple. This is something you brought up to us.
So this is for some nursing services for one of our students that moved in right towards the end of last year. The student had some unique needs that require some one-to-one care. We gave her our best shot to hire somebody ourselves, but just couldn't make it happen, unfortunately. So this is the agreement with an agency to support that. Student's doing great. She's off to a great school year. Everything's going well. So we're happy so far.
Thank you.
Any idea, like what that, I mean, I know it's just a contract, any idea how much we're gonna, what that cost will be for the year?
Yeah, that's significant.
Good.
Can you go ahead and give the ballpark what that's gonna be?
So it's 75,000, 80,000,
Okay,
which is why I'm trying to hire around.
Yeah, and then I want to give Luke a lot of credit for trying, as you guys know, he goes out and I don't know how he pulls these people out, sometimes he finds an A and this and that. So did the same thing for this, and then we even sat around and shot some ideas around and came to this was the best option for.
I know, I mean, Luke, you already, I know, you AIDS, all that stuff, you already, I know you're doing the best job you can, but if people don't apply, they don't apply.
It's hard, it's hard.
Yep. But
Trust me, I mean, I've had that conversation how many times.
kudos, yeah, okay.
Absolutely, okay, roll call, please, Wanda.
Harmon.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Dan Eagleheart.
Yes.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Cindy Klein. Yes. Ken Miller.
Yes. Any items not known at agenda time, or any communication from the floor in regard to agenda items or anything else?
I do. I had an individual approach me who wanted to make an anonymous donation to our lunch program. But because of the change in the lunch program, the day of the kind of peanut butter fun doesn't exist anymore. And I had a conversation with this individual and suggested that maybe the backpack program might be a better way to make sure that children are eating. And so there's nothing for the board to accept from the donation. I simply wanted to recognize for the record that we did have an anonymous donation of $500 to the backpack program, and I'll be delivering that check to them end of the week. So thank you.
All right, it's at 7:11. I'll entertain a first and second motion to go into closed session. The purpose of considering information regarding the appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, for dismissal of employees and pending litigation. So moves, Dan seconds, roll call please, Luana.
Sean Hamilton.
Yes.
Dan Eagleheart.
Yes.
Mary Gill. Yes. Harmon.
Yes.
Cindy Klein. Yes. Ken Miller.
Yes.